Welcome back. If you just joined us, you're watching the news at 10 live on Channels Television Lagos. A reminder of our top stories. Embattled leader of the Islamic movement in Nigeria, Sheikh Ibrahim El-Zakzaky, and his wife Zinat finally depart Nigeria for India for medical treatment. Ahead of the anticipated bilateral talks between President Buhari and his South African counterpart, the country's foreign minister denies targeting of Nigerians by South Africans. Asian cities of Kano and Christina come alive as eminent personalities, including President of Guinea, Alpha Conde, as well as residents, troop out to celebrate Eid al-Kabir with Durbar Festival. And Hong Kong's international airport cancelled nearly 200 flights as thousands of anti-government protesters occupy facility, causing disruption. For more information on our top stories, please visit our website, channelstv.com. youtube.com/channelsweb has videos of all our shows. To education now, some experts are advocating the need to reappraise entry points into tertiary institutions in Nigeria and improve funding for the education sector to save the system from collapse. The experts, who spoke at different forums with Channels Television, insist that there is an urgent need to save the situation as the quality of graduates from tertiary institutions continue to drop.
For some time now, there have been growing concerns about the standard of education in Nigeria. It has also become a topic for discussion at some public fora, like this one, organized by SERAP in Abuja. According to the report by SERAP, the education sector is among the most corrupt sectors of the economy. Arguably, the alleged corruption in the sector could be the reason for the poor quality of graduates that are produced yearly. However, this may not be the only explanation to the nation's dwindling education standard.
University education today, particularly in Nigeria, has suffered so much that we have to look at other areas. One, do you know that in the 60s and 50s, admission to university was only by 2 subjects at GC or GC and this other secondary school, HSC. How do you come to reduce admission to university to school certificate?
Some education experts also blame the current education situation in the country on the failure of governments to fund the sector.
We discovered that, unlike what we had in the 60s and 70s, the quality of our university education was going down the drain because of government's withdrawal from the public education system.
Although funding for education has increased from 448 billion naira in 2017 to 620 billion naira in the 2019 budget, it still remains a far cry from the UNICEF's recommendation for developing nations. The Chairman, House Committee on Youth Development, says there is need to sustain the funding and ensure proper monitoring and mentorship in public schools.
In a country like Nigeria, where we have at least between 60 and 65% of the population being youth that need education, especially formal education. I believe that the government should play a very prominent role in the education sector. I'm very happy that the government of President Muhammadu Buhari has upped the ante by making sure that the budget, the appropriation to education sector is picking up.
It is estimated that tertiary institutions in Nigeria produce an average of 500,000 graduates annually. If they are to find their space in the ever-competitive labor market and contribute meaningfully to the nation's economy, attention no doubt must be paid to the quality of education that they receive.
Us in the studio to examine this issue further is a professor of science education, Professor Duro Ajelayemi of the University of Lagos. A pleasure having you with us on the News at 10.
It's a pleasure, Melinda.
Now, there seems to be a consensus that the quality of today's graduates compared to the past has dropped. Do you agree with this?
I do agree up to an extent.
Okay.
Generally, the graduates nowadays, they are exposed to more knowledge, especially through the internet. But the formal education they are receiving from our universities may not be that quality. So I agree that if we look at the formal system, the quality is dwindling every year.
But some analysts blame this partly on the entry level, which has been lowered. Do you agree with them?
I do not really agree with them, because in those days, when students entered with A-levels or HSC, they spent 3 years doing the degree program. Now, and even since a long time, the 4-year program, university program, had started. So, after school starts, and JAMB has been conducting entrance exams for a long time. Now, the qualifications have not really been lowered, because the JAMB scores are ranking scores. There are still other components that are added to, determine a candidate's admission. The school start is added. The results from the post-UTME are also added, all in a bid to determine admission of a candidate. The qualifications still remain the school start, and we also have other qualifications. We still have A-levels, we still have the candidates that go through the foundation programs of universities that take either the JUPEB exams or the IJMB A-levels. So, qualifications have not really been lowered. The problems of the system have to do with, you start with the students themselves. Their attitude to work is a problem. The teaching is not being properly done, because facilities for teaching are far and few. I mean, there are few in many universities. The facilities that were meant for, say, 200 students in those days are now serving 1,000 students.
Well, how can this be remedied? Because some argue that most of the graduates we have today are not employable.
Yes, well, they are not being taught practically. So they miss out on that. They are on skills. They may have knowledge, but they do not have skills that the employers need. But in addition to the knowledge, now they have better IT skills, but not really enough too, because not many universities have the facilities to train them in those skills. Funding is a major problem, as you have found out from the people talking about it. The system has decayed a lot. That's why ASUU has been going on strike. The strike, often gone by ASUU, also contributes to the lowering of the standards, because they now rush to graduate students, and all this have an effect on the kinds of graduates that we are producing from the system.
Professor Joe Ajayalemi, it was a pleasure having you with us on the News at 10.
It's a pleasure talking to you.
Thank you. When the News at 10 returns, analysts recommend target setting for ministers to enable President Buhari realize his administration's promises to Nigerians. That and more from our London bureau in Around the World in 5.